the live in progress. Then we go to Facebook Live. Workplace by Facebook Live or Facebook Live? Let's do live on Facebook.
Welcome, everyone, to the Arlington Committee 100's program for this month, Food Security in Arlington. My name is Jerry Laporte. I'm chair of the Arlington Committee of 100, which is sponsoring this program. If you're watching us on Facebook Live and you think this is something that your friends would like to watch, please consider sharing the Facebook Live to your page. First of all, I want to start out by welcoming the elected officials who are with us tonight. We have Matt DeFerrante, a member of the Arlington County Board, as well as Takis Karantonis, another member of the Arlington County Board. We welcome them to our program. If I missed any elected officials who are with us, please let us know by sending us a note through the Q&A box, the chat box online, and we'll try to recognize you later in the program. I'd like to begin by thanking Doug Scheffler and Ed Nolan, members of the Arlington Committee of 100's Program Committee, who organized this program for us. It's a lot of work to organize these programs, and we appreciate their contribution. I'd also like to recognize the contributions of Patrick Hope and John Weistat, who serve as co-chairs of our Program Committee. Another big job. Before we get into this month's program, today's program, I'd like to talk about next month's program. It'll be another Zoom webinar program on Wednesday, February the 8th at 7 p.m. It's a special program that we're putting on for Black History Month called, we're calling it Teaching African American History in Arlington. You can register for the program right now by going following the link that'll be posted in the chat box, and we will have that link posted on our website very soon. We'll also be sending out an announcement to everyone who's on our email list, you'll be able to follow the link in that email and register for our February 8th program on teaching African American history in Arlington. Before getting to tonight's topic, I need to make a shameless plug for support for our organization. You can support us, the Arlington Committee of 100, in a number of ways. One way is to become a member of our organization. Members are individuals and couples who make a financial donation to the organization during the current membership year, which runs from July 1st to June the 30th. If you think that the Arlington Committee of 100's mission of addressing community issues in a nonpartisan, community-wide way and gathering community members together to meet one another and talk about these issues in a civil way, please become a member by making a donation at our website. The link to make a donation should be appearing in the chat box now. Or you can send a check to our postal address, which is on the screen right now. You can also support us by volunteering for our organization. If you visit our website, arlingtoncommittee100.org, you'll see a tab that says Get Involved, and one of the drop-down lists will give you an opportunity to volunteer. Like many organizations, we've lost volunteer infrastructure during the pandemic. We're especially looking for people with event planning and organizational and IT skills. So we need these volunteers to resume regular programming with an in-person component, which has become more challenging as a result of the pandemic and other issues. For our program tonight, we're focusing on food security in Arlington, as I said. As many of you know, Arlington County published its food security strategic plan in October and has scheduled a kickoff meeting for a group it calls the Arlington County Food Security Coalition for Monday, January 23rd, just a couple of weeks away, less than 2 weeks away. So this is a very timely topic. It's a good time for all of us in the community to learn what's going on with respect to food security. We have 4 panelists tonight who have personal stories to tell about what's going on, and they're all working to improve food access, outreach, and systemic change in this area. Before I introduce the panelists, I want to let you know that you can submit questions at any time during the program by using the Q&A box on your screen. We'll be submitting your questions to them after the presentations. Our panelists tonight, we have 4 panelists tonight, and I'm going to introduce them in the order of their presentations. The first panelist is Stephanie Hopkins, who has been food security coordinator in Arlington County's Department of Human Services since February 2021. So it's almost 2 years ago that Stephanie took that job. Before that, Stephanie was program director for the Arlington Food Assistance Center for 5 months and with United Community, a nonprofit in Alexandria, for a number of years. Stephanie has a master's degree in nonprofit management from the George Washington University. Since getting her job as food security coordinator in Arlington, she's shepherded Arlington County's food security strategic plan through its development and approval process, and is now ready to coordinate the activities of the new Arlington County Food Security Coalition. So we're all anxious to hear about her plans and how she's going to do that. Our second panelist will be Charlie Meng, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Arlington Food Assistance Center in Arlington. Charlie has been at AFAC since 2008, after a long career in nonprofit management, including stints as Vice President for Administration at Georgetown University and Associate Managing Director of the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Charlie was a long-time volunteer at Food and Friends in DC, where he received the Volunteer of the, which is a food distribution center, and he received the Volunteer of the Award from the Food and Friends on 3 separate occasions. Charlie has a law degree from Georgetown University and a certificate in educational management from Harvard University. Our third panelist will be Sally Diaz-Wells, who has been the Social Justice and Outreach Minister at Our Lady Queen of Peace Catholic Church in Arlington for a little over 5 years. In that capacity, Sally manages a food pantry that serves hundreds of families each week, as she will discuss with us. And she also runs a number of other social justice ministries at the parish, including a Care for Creation ministry and a gun violence prevention ministry. So Sally is all about social justice. Amy McCloskey has been director of the Office of Food and Nutrition Service at Arlington Public Schools for over 14 years. Amy is a founding member and currently co-chair of Scratch Works, a national organization committed to supporting school districts in cooking meals from scratch. Amy's passion is to partner with farmers so that fresh fruit and vegetables are a regular feature of school menus. We'll be anxious to hear what she has to say. Okay, Stephanie, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Let's get our presentation ready. All right. As he mentioned, my name is Stephanie Hopkins, and I am Arlington County's Food Security Coordinator. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Food Security Strategic Plan that we released in October, and a little bit about some of the data around food security in Arlington and how we developed our plan. Food security in Arlington, recent data shows that about 7% of Arlingtonians are food insecure, which is about 16,670 individuals. The definition of food insecurity includes everything from I'm worried that my food will run out before I have enough money to get more, to I have zero food in my house. So we know that there are people on both ends of that spectrum in Arlington, and people journey that spectrum all the time. We know that food insecurity does not affect all Arlingtonians equally. It disproportionately affects our BIPOC population, so our Black population, our Hispanic and Latino population are most affected by this. We know that food assistance is not a one-size-fits-all situation. We know that having a variety of options to layer for families is really important. For some families, getting food from AFAC once a week, once a month, is exactly what they need to supplement what they are able to purchase at the store and provide for their families. For other families, that's not enough, and they need to visit Our Lady Queen of Peace and Salvation Army and Capital Area Food Bank and AFAC. So it's important that we have this variety of options to support those who do need it. In the grand scheme of things, if you're food insecure, you tend to have other needs as well. And it's often easier to get assistance for food than it is to get assistance for other things like rent or utilities or medical expenses. So we find that people spend their available income on rent, utilities, and medical expenses and other bills. And if there's enough money to pay for food, they will pay for their own food. If there's not enough money to pay for their food, that's when they lean on our food assistance network. Recently, we've seen an uptick of need. I'm sure Charlie and Sally will also mention this. You can see in this chart that this is quarterly households served by AFAC. So at AFAC, families can visit once a week. Not all families do. Some families visit once a month, every 2 months. So these numbers are much higher than their weekly numbers served. But you can see that in the fall of 2020, the numbers served were quite high. It bottomed out a little bit last fall, and then has continued to rise as we've seen inflation go through the roof, and expenses have gone up with them. As I mentioned, food insecurity is not caused on its own. It is a symptom of poverty and need all around. In Arlington, there are about 24,000 individuals who live at 30% of the area median income, or AMI, which is about $42,000 a year for a family of 4. So that 24,000 roughly parallels with that 16,000 that are food insecure. So we know that those are generally the families that we're seeing. In Arlington, 39% of families pay more than 30% of their income on rent. Another factor of needing help with food. And in this past year, I know many of you have seen it in your budgets and grocery bills. The price of food for the DC metro region, food at home, increased 12% from July 2021 to July 2022. When we talk to clients, they say everything is 3 times as expensive. The money just doesn't go around. Over the past couple of years, we've been working on coming up with this strategic plan. I started in my role in February of 2021. I very quickly pulled together a food security task force, which was made up of a variety of members of the community working in food security. We partnered with the Urban Institute to do a food security study, and we did our own research as well of best practices and what's going on in our community, as well as talking with members of the community who experience food insecurity. And with that, we came up with our strategic plan, in which we released in October of this past year. It has 5 categories with 28 recommendations that are designed to both improve the access of food, improve the availability of food for folks that need it, and also improve the food assistance system. So make it easier for folks to find out about what's available, to get to what's available, and then also improving the system. So helping the organizations providing food do their work better. So some of our priorities over the next year, some of these are the strategies in the plan. As was mentioned earlier, we are kicking off our Food Security Coalition, which is kind of the next phase of the Food Security Task Force. It's a group that's going to work on driving these strategies forward. It will also serve as a place for folks interested in food security to continually get updates, to share news as well. You may have heard in over the past couple of weeks that Congress has decided to end the SNAP, which is food stamps, emergency allotments, which folks have been getting over the past, since the start of the pandemic. Those will be ending next month. So we're working on getting information about that out to residents. We're working to identify areas of need to establish new food distributions, seeing how we can increase delivery and rescue of food, diversifying outreach efforts. We're scheduling a trauma training for volunteers and staff working in food insecurity, so they're aware of trauma and how it affects clients. We're looking to hire an AmeriCorps Vista to work with me on this efforts, and we're establishing some new data collection tools. And then my last slide is some information about our coalition. We'll have 3 working groups about food access, outreach, and systemic change. We're having our first meeting January 23rd at Central Library, and then all future meetings will be over Zoom. There's a registration if you want to scan that code. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Are we going straight to Charlie or stopping for questions?
No, we're going to have questions at the end. So Charlie,
Okay.
Stephanie, if you're finished, Charlie, you can start.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, great. Stephanie, you can go on to the next one. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. This is obviously a topic that is central to my thoughts almost on a daily basis, as you can imagine. The work of AFAC is to provide dignified access to healthy, nutritious groceries to families in need. 3 years ago, our board of directors removed Arlington from the mission statement so that we can begin to expand beyond the borders of the county. What we do is try to address long-term food insecurity. So families who are referred to us can come once a week for 6 months. That referral can be renewed by a social worker, either at the Department of Human Services or at one of our partner agencies, and that includes all of the Arlington Public Schools social workers. We ask that our families get a referral to us because we want to make sure they get into the safety net, the basic safety net, and go to DHS, where they can enroll for any of the other programs that they might be eligible for. And they can get a referral back to AFAC. They can also get a referral from 20 of our partner agencies, 20 plus nonprofits here in town. We have our main distribution site at South Nelson Street, and we have 15 other distribution sites around the county. We have one site in Falls Church. We also have a home delivery program that helps, that brings food to about 150 families each week. We also have plans to soon open up a site in Alexandria, and we're looking at 2 additional sites in Arlington on either end of Columbia Pike. Next. Stephanie? Yeah. So we provide a choice of foods when you visit AFAC. What we try to do is focus on the high cost items in a family's grocery basket. These are often the items that families will avoid purchasing. They're high priced, but they are essential to a healthy and nutritious diet. So we buy a half gallon, all of our families will get a half gallon of milk, a dozen eggs. They'll get a choice of chicken, ground beef, fish, or hot dogs. And they usually have 3 choices of vegetables and 3 choices of fruit. We also provide various cereals, canned goods, vegetables, low sodium and low sugar canned goods, pastas, breads, and a whole number of other assorted items. We also buy items that are culturally specific to our families, dried beans, various types of dried beans, as a matter of fact, masa, halal, and kosher chicken we also provide. Next. In all, we have a food purchase budget of $1.3 million. That will allow us to purchase about 3 million pounds of food. But food costs are going up. Stephanie already mentioned this. At the beginning of calendar year 21, a year ago, we were buying milk at $1.05 a half gallon. We're buying eggs at 98 cents a dozen and chicken at 48 cents a pound. This month, we are paying $1.93 for that half gallon of milk. We're paying $4.45. And these are wholesale prices, by the way, for eggs. And chicken has gone up to 59 cents a pound. We also collect a lot of donated food that is given to us by local grocery stores and through food drives at schools, congregations, and businesses throughout the county. In total, we will distribute about 4 million pounds of food to our families. You can go on to the next one. But you know, this is also what Stephanie mentioned also. There are disparities between the county and the families we serve. The Arlington County is 15.6% Hispanic. The families we serve, almost 50% of the families we serve are Hispanic. The same situation exists with Black families. They make up 8.9% of the county, but they make up 20.8% of AFAC families. And of course, the Caucasian white population is almost 64% of the county, and only 11.8% of AFAC's population. We also have a number of other Asians and other minorities and groups. You know, Arlington County has an average income of something over $120,000. AFAC families, the average income at AFAC families is $14,412. Now, many of our families, this is a straight average. There are many families up above that, but That's a straight average. But all of the families who come to AFAC are below the 30% AMI that Stephanie mentioned. And, you know, if you just look at rent here in Arlington County, the average one-bedroom apartment goes for $2,100. The minimum wage increased from $7.25 to $12. That meant that at $7.25, you had to work 55 hours a week to pay your rent. That has dropped at $12 an hour to only 44 hours a week to pay your rent. And I think that is a clear demonstration of what many of our families face. Next. So we serve basically three populations. The first two populations will be with us. They come to us almost every single week, every single month, and their situation really will not change. And those two groups are the elderly living on fixed incomes. Things just aren't adding up any longer. And the disabled. We have a good sized group of disabled individuals who are on Social Security benefits. But the largest group that we serve are literally the working poor. Folks living on minimum wage, part-time work, no benefits, no time off, multiple jobs, and often multiple family members working. So this group comes to us when they need us. They may come to us once a month, or they may come to us 2 or 3 times a month. And, you know, of course, when their SNAP benefits and other benefits start running out through the month, they'll come to us more often at that time. Next slide. Here are the numbers. So at some point during fiscal year 22, 5,141 distinct families received food from AFAC. These families were made up of 12,462 individuals. 30% of those individuals, 3,968 were children. Now we do have active referrals. So we did have 6,718 families had an active referral to us during fiscal year 22. Those 67,000 families make up almost exactly the amount that the food security study identified as the total population in need here in Arlington County. In all, during fiscal year 22, 108,660 visits were made to AFAC to pick up food. Okay, so before the pandemic, AFAC was seeing an average of 2,100 families each week, and we had 3,400 active referrals. Those numbers increased at the height of the pandemic. We saw almost 2,600 families come to us each week, and active referrals rose 60% to almost 5,400. December, less than a month ago, we had, 11 days ago, excuse me, we had an active average, weekly average of 2,633 families coming to AFAC. Referrals are ahead of the peak of the pandemic at 5,254, and then makes up 10,530 individuals. All of those numbers are really peaks for us. And in fact, our numbers have been increasing by about 100 families a month for, I don't know, 8 months or so. So what does AFAC cost? AFAC has an annual budget of $8.2 million. We have a food purchase budget of 1.3, as I mentioned. We receive no federal and no state funds. We receive $577,720 from Arlington County. That is the only government support we receive, and that support makes up 7% of what it takes to operate AFAC. So our staff must raise the remaining 93%. That's made up of $4.1 million in cash. We must also find 1.5 million pounds of donated food. That has a value of $2.6 million. And most importantly, and I have to stress this, encouraging volunteerism in the community is AFAC's second mission. We were begun by volunteers. There are some very old and very wise volunteers of ours in this room, I would imagine. Our volunteers have a goal of giving us 40,000 hours of time this year. They are ahead of that goal right now, and the value of their time equals $1.5 million. Their time also is equivalent to 20 full-time employees. And that matches AFAC's employees. We have 24 employees now, and an overhead rate. And so if there's any donors in the community who care, and they should, our overhead rate is 14%. Actually, it's 13.99% to be exact. Yeah. So that's my presentation. If you want to get in touch with us, here are all of our social media contacts. Otherwise, you can get us really at afac.org, afac.org. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Sally?
Hi. My name is Sally Diaz-Wells. I'm the Social Justice and Outreach Minister for Our Lady Queen of Peace Catholic Church. I've been the outreach minister at this church happily for a little over 5 years. And as I tell most people, I took over a very thriving social justice ministries, which there are at least 22 active social justice ministries on our campus, which we're very proud of here. One of them obviously is the food pantry. And I was happy to be part of the Food Security Task Force, which is why I know some of these wonderful people on this. And I also know your person that's head of the 100, which is a pleasure for me because he is very active with our community here at our church, as well as with you, I'm sure. We have had a food pantry for over 30 years. It's one of the oldest ministries of our church. We do follow the teachings of Matthew 25. This is actually our mission statement of our church. And Matthew 25 specifically, 25 to 46. So we definitely have had something going on with food offerings for 30 plus years. We started out giving out bags out of food when people would.
Sally, I think you may have muted yourself. We've lost Sally some. You back, Sally? You're muted. There you go.
Hi, I'm so sorry about that. We've been having some trouble and the person is here. My name is Sally Diaz-Wells. I'm the Social Justice and Outreach Minister for Our Lady Queen of Peace. We have a thriving food pantry here at this church who has no borders.
Sally, we got a lot of that.
Oh, good.
Just
sorry, I didn't think you could hear me as well.
We got up to just after you mentioned me. Then that's about when we lost connection with you. So
okay,
you know who you are and about the different ministries. You
So
said
we
that.
have 22 active ministries. As I said, I know Jerry Laporte because he is a lead ministry of one of the social justice ministries here. We started more cohesively our food pantry over 10 years ago. And at that time, we used to have it cafe style. And cafe style meant that we had entire group of people coming into our building. Our largest building is called Father Ray Hall. And they would pack the hall. We would have tables and chairs. We would offer them coffee, tea, and water. We would have a pickup from Deo from Panera, and we would offer that as like a breakfast. We have we also offered clothing across the street. We had daycare in the building, and we also had support for mothers that were pregnant and had small children. So all of that was being done. At that point, this is my pre-pandemic numbers, our average families that were coming to us was 235. The difference between us and a lot of other places is that we have no boundaries. We do not care where you're coming from. If you're coming to us and you're presenting and saying and that you are in need of any help, this is how we end up having you come. We did have an informal registration program, but it wasn't for the need. It was just to track how much we were doing at the time. So I have told you our pandemic average was 235 families. Pandemic effect was horrific and swift. We went from 235 families on average starting March 2020. We went from 235 to averaging 650 to 700 families per week. And we have an active ministry, but it's once a week. We do not have the opportunity right now anymore to offer choice. We are now going back to choice. So we are packing bags for people, and then we give them an opportunity to switch out bad things out of their bags so that they're taking the things that they need from in that bag home and only what they really need. And that has changed. We'll be changing again soon. We would like to go back to choice because we were giving them choices of what they can put in their bags before, when we would have them come in and do cafe style. So right now we've had to move most of our things outside of that building to keep all of our volunteers safe and keep them safe at the height of the pandemic when we had no vaccination. So we're hoping and looking forward to, when the numbers go down on this new variant, that we get to go back to choice. So the slides that I'm showing you is a culmination of this past year, 2022. So as you can see, we've been pretty busy. We've had yearly client visits of over 26,000 people. Now, unfortunately, because we're so informal and who shows up to our door, I can tell you that about 50 to 75% of the people are weekly, that I see them every week. But there is a variety of people that show up because they are the working poor that can only come sometimes, but not all the time. So these are not individual, fully individual people that are not coming back every week, but it is a large number. Our average costs right now are $12,000. I just got our egg bill, and so that is probably going to have to be added another $2,000 to that, and that's just weekly, as you can see. It takes a lot of volunteers to do what we do, and a lot of hours. As you can see, we are averaging a number of volunteers weekly of 25, and they are giving 75 hours per week, which is an average of 3 hours per person. And that's a lot, but that's what it takes to do the work that we do here. I am the full-time staff person, and I have one part-time staff person that helps me do this work. Can we go to the next? This is our literally total for the month, what days we had our food pantry, which is every Wednesday from 9 to 11:30, how many clients came in today, and the clients is just a running total of the year to date. So the weird thing was, last year, January 5th, we were in the middle of a snowstorm. And so our volunteers, being intrepid as they are, they showed up and they still offered food to people who showed up right along with them, which was funny, but not good, because the church was literally closed and they were still doing it because people were still showing up because it was a need. And my volunteers showed up and gave food out. And I was proud of them, although I was worried about it. But this is what we were doing this just last year, and we have seen an uptick. So January, February, March, April, May, and June, the biggest number was, March, but that was really out of sorts. But that's also around Easter, where people are in need more food because of the fact that they're having, they're having family over, and so they're looking to come to us. And we're talking about, Charlie and I share a lot of our clients. They come to them, they come to her. Like Stephanie said, they're coming to many other places because there's an opportunity for food where they're putting their money into paying rent, paying gas, electric, water, and all the other bills that are necessary to be here. So there are very high numbers coming up. And then July, August, September, October, November, December, our numbers started to go up much, much higher, and they stayed on average of over 2,000 each one. We don't count the persons or the families and how they're broken out, because right now, and has not been done since March 2020, we have not asked or offered registration. We don't ask or request any demographic or any information about our clients, other than you come to us, you present a need, and we will give you a bag of food, because the need has gotten so great. And as you can see, the highlight, that was what we offered Thanksgiving, when we offered a full meal, a full Thanksgiving, a full turkey, and all the fixings, including a pie. So we have never had that many people ask us for Thanksgiving meals, but this year I registered over 600, and then we had, as I would call them, people who show up the next day kind of thing, that they just find themselves not being in a position to be able to buy the food that they wanted to buy for that particular holiday. So yes, the year before that, we gave out 739, and this year we are at 822 full and complete meals that we offered in November for Thanksgiving. So these are the numbers that we're looking at. It seems like a lot. It is a lot. It is a lot of work. We have phenomenal volunteers. Most of our volunteers are parishioners of our church. The blessing about being in this church situation is that we have the opportunity to offer help in a way that's different. My pastor is very not big about evangelization, but he does say that his evangelization, or our evangelization, should be how we treat people that come to us, is how we evangelize for our church. And hopefully you will find that people come to us, they're happy about being here, they're treated well, they're greeted very warmly, and that they are leaving with something that can help them and their families for the future of the week. And I thank you for your time, and sorry about the glitch.
Thanks, Sally. Moving on to Amy from Arlington Public Schools. You're next.
Sorry, I'm just trying to remember how we did full screen. I'll have it up in a sec.
Full screen mode on the left.
That's the last slide. Okay. Well, thank you for allowing me to come tonight and talk about school meals. This is our vision statement, our mission statement, what we do all the time to ensure that every student is offered a nutritious and high quality meal to support learning. We all know that kids cannot learn when they are hungry. Since school meals and academic performance are interwoven, it is imperative that we offer programs to meet the needs of all of our students. In addition, strong school meal programs also provide nourishment for the whole child, and kids just feel better. School meal programs support more than 31 million lunches and 17 million breakfasts per day in the United States. In Arlington, we serve meals to students ranging from infants to young adults at all schools in a variety of programs, including the Infant Center, the Virginia Preschool Initiative, and Arlington Community High School. So how do we accomplish this? Next screen. Well, we start by administering the National School Breakfast and Lunch Program. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We offer breakfast at 36 schools. We always encourage and support alternative breakfast programs, such as breakfast in the classroom, grab and go breakfast bags and eating taking food at the bus stop or at the point of entrance and going to the class. Currently, 5 elementary schools offer alternative programs with great success. Oak Ridge Elementary School was one of our first schools to offer breakfast in the classroom. We were able to increase participation in this program by almost 50% the first year. Breakfast participation is usually less than lunch participation for a variety of reasons, including logistics and time. In March, we will support increased breakfast participation by celebrating the National School Breakfast Week with new menus and a fun contest for students who start their day with us. In the past, this has been a really fun week. We've had kids make videos of their choices and of them eating breakfast, and we've all really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. Lunch is offered at all schools, along with our custom bowl lines, fresh fruit and vegetable bars, and a la carte options. We also administer the federal free and reduced meal program. We provide online applications in English and Spanish at myschoolapps.com. We've also set up 3 kiosks for parents to use at the SciFax Education Center, and we're available for assistance daily. Paper applications are available at all schools in the front office and in the food service office. Parents can also print applications from our website and deliver them to schools or to our office at the SciFax Center. Applications are processed daily, with the exception of direct certifications, which are processed monthly through a state matching program. Direct certification is a process conducted by the state to certify eligible children for free meals directly without having to complete an application. Some of the programs that are used to match this program are SNAP, TANF, and Medicaid. We process approximately 9,000 applications annually, and we are already up over 8,200 this year so far. We also provide eligibility verification letters so that families can take advantage of discounted services. For example, Comcast Internet, dental appointments, park and recreation programs, and the Clothesline, an organization that distributes gently used clothing to students and their families. The PEBT program is a state program that provides additional benefits via EBT cards for the SNAP program when school is not in session. We work with them to provide eligibility status for families to ensure ongoing supplementation. The food service program operates as a self-supporting $10 million business. We rely on food sales as well as federal reimbursement to manage our program efficiently. We do not take any funds from the school system operating budget. We employ 160 food service professionals, which has increased this year, and during the universal free feeding program last year by about 10 employees. Next, please. So here are some statistics. 30% of our students qualify for free or reduced meals. I have been working in Arlington for 14 years, and that number has stayed pretty consistent. It has gone as high as 32% and as low as 29%, but basically stays around 30%. Currently, Barcroft, Drew, Carlin Springs, Barrett, and Randolph Elementary Schools all qualify for the community eligibility provision. We are running that program, also called the CEP program, at those schools because they all qualify for a 50% or higher eligibility. So CEP allows schools located in low-income areas to provide free breakfast and lunch to all students. It also eliminates the burden of collecting household applications to determine eligibility for school meal programs. We qualify these students directly, and we do no longer collect information regarding finances for those families. So what's happening this year? We've served up until November 650,000 meals and after-school snacks. We've renewed our partnerships with Kilmer Orchards in Inwood, West Virginia, and with 4P Foods from Charlottesville Food Hub to provide over $200,000 worth of local produce. We're well on our way back to transitioning to normal operations. So you can never talk about school lunch without talking about participation. We have always had a goal that we would increase our participation annually by at least 3%. You can see, if you went back 10 years, you could see that we have been pretty effective at this, and these slides will show you that it's continued. The one outlier is the year that we had universal feeding, and the numbers are significantly larger. It's very hard for me to make a comparison with this, though. Thank you. Because we also included summer meals, weekend meals, no emergency kits, and some holiday distribution meals. We were also allowed to distribute 7 days a week rather than when school is in session. So we did see a very large increase, and now we've gone back to a more normal looking statistic, although we have increased more than I had anticipated. And I'm hoping that's because kids were able to eat the year before and find that they liked the meals and that they could get through the lines in a relatively quick manner, and that they've come back to eat with us. So I did want to say, can you go back one? I'm sorry. So, and I did want to say that with the universal feeding, it's absolutely best for students. And I highly encourage you to support universal feeding. It eliminates stigma. It builds strong school communities. It helps kids get through the line more quickly. It eliminates paperwork and financial burdens for families, and it all around is in the best interest of everyone. Thank you. Can you go to the next slide, Stephanie? So going forward, now that we're back kind of on track, we'll begin to focus again on scratch cooking. Prior to the pandemic, we had provided a lot of training to our staff, and we're really focusing on scratch cooking. We changed our focus during emergency feeding because we were packing meals for distribution sites, and we had 3 different programs running. So now we are back to changing our focus to scratch cooking and serving culturally inclusive meals to all students. Last summer, we started developing new recipes for black beans and rice and curried chickpeas. We've reopened our international customized bowl lines in our high schools. Empanadas, steamed dumplings, and plantains are added back to our menus. And in early December, we started a halal meat pilot program at Washington, Liberty, and Jefferson Middle Schools. The pilot programs are going well, and we plan to roll this out district-wide, beginning at the high schools and going down to end at the elementary schools, I hope by May. Thank you for the opportunity to share this information of our meal program with you. We are so excited about our new initiatives. We're excited to be back to normal, and we're hoping to continue to grow and expand our services to reflect our diverse community.
Thank you very much. Got several questions here, so I'm just going to, most of them I think are not directed to anybody in particular. So whichever one of the panelists wants to answer can do so. The first one is from Corey Bassett. He says, in Arlington, who should you direct a homeless person or anyone who needs food assistance to?
I'll take that one. So anybody who needs food assistance should call the DHS phone number, which is 703-228-1300. That's the DHS Customer Service Center, and they know about all of the resources that are available in Arlington, and can help direct a household to the correct or the most appropriate services that are available.
Okay. Michael Beer asks, with climate chaos likely to cause food prices to soon trip, and I'm having, how are you addressing I can't read this collapse. How are you addressing huge?
How am I addressing food prices and where they might go in the future?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I mentioned the prices of various products we buy. We're looking at an overall average increase on food of about 35% right now. I don't know where that will go. I also don't know what kind of effect that will have on our budget. That $1.3 million budget was overspent by $212,000 last year. And it is right now over budget by about $100,000. I can only rely on the generosity of our donors, on the generosity of the county, to help us meet this challenge, which is, by the way, the largest we've faced. It's both more families and more food at higher cost to us. We do have a very strong financial position, and we are committed to serving all who come to our doors now and in the future without a waiting list. I don't know what else I'm going to do except go forward.
Thank you. Matt DeFrante put a comment in the chat box about saying that Stephanie was right about 703-228-1300 being best for hunger assistance, and Matt says that he put a link that people can click on to see for homelessness assistance. That's another issue that, people who are hungry may be homeless also. So you can look for that link in the chat box. Rebecca Halby asks, how many local food pantries have evening and Saturday, Sunday distribution hours?
I'll answer for AFAC. We have distribution hours basically from 9:30 to 1:30, Monday through Friday. We have distribution hours on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and we have a distribution on Saturday morning. I think it's from 9 o'clock.
9 to 11.
9 to 11. Okay, thank you. So we, at least at AFAC, there's a good number of, a good amount of times that you can come at least to South Nelson Street, and then there are the hours that our other sites are open.
So I'm going to jump on that. APAC also has an offsite location in Clarendon that's open on Saturday mornings. And then Capital Area Food Bank has once a month Saturday distributions, one at Arlington Mill Community Center on the 4th Saturday of the month, and one through Mount Olive Baptist Church, which is over by Hoffman Boston Elementary, on the 3rd Saturday of the month. And they offer a distribution in the Barcroft neighborhood in conjunction with Barcroft Elementary on a Thursday afternoon. I think it's the 3rd Thursday from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. I think, so kind of evening. And I'm pretty sure that Arlington Bridge Builders is a pantry that's run by a collection of churches on Carlin Springs, is also open on Saturdays.
Does your strategic plan have Stephanie, does the strategic plan have a list of all the currently operating food pantries in Arlington?
I have a website that I don't know how to chat to all of the participants, but there is a food assistance website that does list all of the options, as well as a flyer that's available in 7 languages. So Hannah, can you share that link that I put in the host chat?
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay.
And just because we are a church and we're open during the week, anybody can come to us, emergency services. And because the priests are living on campus any time of the day, for the most part, they will open their doors, they will come and get a bag and offer it to anyone who comes when I'm not here and when they are here, which is most of the time. So we are not officially open, but we definitely will offer food under an emergency basis. You call, you come, I offer it to you even out of turn. And so will the priests Saturday and Sundays when they're not giving sermons, they are actually working towards that endeavor to help in any way they can.
Thanks. Doug Scheffler said that he's interested that AFAC is expanding to Alexandria and is wondering, is if AFAC is coordinating with the city of Alexandria on that expansion. And I think, Charlie, you started to answer this in the chat, but maybe it might be worthwhile for you to repeat it to the people who aren't following in the chat.
Certainly. We in fact met with the food coordinator from Alexandria, Stephanie's counterpart, this morning. We will probably be cooperating in the future, but there's no restrictions in terms of our expansion into Alexandria. So that will continue.
Thank you. Charlie, another question for you. I think you started to answer this one also, but could you repeat it orally? Does someone have to be referred by a social worker to receive food from AFAC?
Yes, they do. Now, that includes all of the social workers at the Arlington, at DHS, at APS, Arlington Public Schools, and our number of our partner agencies can all refer families to us through our online proprietary software. And yes, they are required to have a referral, because we are obligated, requested to provide all sorts of data to our donors, the county and others. And the only way we can get that donor, that information about the families we serve, is through a referral process.
Okay. Audrey Kramer asked a question. She said she's curious about AFAC's budget of $8.2 million and spending less than $2 million on food. And she says, with a staff of only 24 people, what is the rest of the $6 million being spent on? And Charlie, I know you answered that on facilities, vehicles, fundraising, salary, benefits, etc.
Yes.
That your financials are available on your website at afac.org. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that or not.
Yeah, I'd be happy to discuss the details of AFAC's budget at any time. But we are a business. We own 2 buildings. We do employ 24 individuals, and I believe in paying a living wage to our employees. So our minimum wage at AFAC is $23 an hour, and we have a very generous healthcare benefit program, all of which cost money. So we have about 15,000 square feet of space, 6 vehicles, and all sorts of other, sorry about that. He woke up.
That's the additional panelist we didn't pre-announce.
Yeah.
Was not introduced.
There's an awful lot of expenses. I'd be happy to discuss them with anyone. And as I mentioned, our IRS 990 and our financial audits are on our website at afac.org. Okay. You can even find out what's my salary too there.
Thank you. Carolyn Carlson asks if anybody has a comment on the direct drop-off food donations at the Central Library food pantry on the 9th Street tennis court parking lot side. I don't know. I guess, where does that food go? Or
AFAC has a food drive box in the lobby of the Central Library there. You can drop off food there. If you have paper, clean paper bags and those kinds of things, or egg cartons, we're happy to pick up those in that same food drive box.
I'm gonna add one thing. I'm not sure if this is what she's talking about, but there's also a little free pantry outside of Central Library. It's not on the tennis court side, so I'm not sure that's what she's referring to. But there are a couple of little free pantries around in Arlington. And like I said, for some families that, struggle to get to food distribution sites during the hours that they're open, or, have a variety of other challenges, things like the little free pantries are a nice additional option for families like that. So that's may or may not be what she's talking about.
Okay, thank you. Beth Welsh wants to know if anybody can talk about volunteer opportunities. I think several of you may want to talk about that. You've talked about it a little bit, but might want to expand upon that, how you volunteer to fight food insecurity.
Well, at AFAC, you can go on our website, afac.org, and there are 3 buttons up on the upper right side. One of them is for volunteering, and all of the information about AFAC and our needs, volunteer needs, and a registration form can be found there, and that's the simplest way.
Sally, did you want to add anything to that?
Most of our volunteers come from the community at large and specifically from being parishioners here. But we also have people just call and say, I'd like to volunteer, and we welcome people as they come along. There's always stuff to do and people to help. So feel free to call olqpva.org. And we have office at olqpva.org.
Thank you. I don't see any more questions. We're not quite to 8:15. We told people that we'd go till 8:15. Does anybody have anything that they wanted to add, a response to the answers of one of the other panelists, or have any questions they want to ask of the other? I know you guys all know each other, so you probably know each other's programs fairly well. But if we don't have any more questions, we'll just adjourn for the evening. Okay, that's fine. Thank you for the panelists. You did a fantastic job. Thank you for your time in putting together your presentations, and we really appreciate what you had to tell us tonight. And we're hopeful that these numbers can start going down with the end of the pandemic. Okay, actually, that was one of my questions. Is there any sign that these numbers are going down rather than up?
These numbers are not pandemic-related numbers. These are numbers related to the basic need in Arlington County, plus the burdens placed on our families by inflation in particular. So this right now is purely inflation-related.
So as long as inflation continues to at its current level or increase, or slightly below the current level, the food insecurity problems are going to increase with that.
Well, we know that wages aren't going up. Most of us, if we're lucky to get a raise, we get a raise once a year, and that's probably not going to be a 12% raise unless we're super lucky. And most of our folks that earn minimum wage are definitely not getting a 12% increase. So, and what I've read from inflation is that prices probably aren't going to go down. They'll probably just stop going up. So, when your wages stay the same and your expenses are high, you have this continued problem.
And Stephanie, the next thing is pandemic EBT going away.
Right. So I mentioned briefly in my presentation. SNAP is also known as food stamps. Families who've been receiving SNAP, normally your benefit amount is based on your income and expenses. During the pandemic, everyone has been receiving the maximum amount for their family size. So for example, a family or an individual might normally get $82 worth of benefits per month. But with the emergency allotments, they've been receiving $240 a month. That is scheduled to end in February. That was part of the omnibus spending bill that passed at the end of December. Congress voted to end emergency allotments at the end of February. So families that are receiving SNAP, which is about is a little over 5,000 households in Arlington, will lose about $82 per household member per month of benefits starting in March. So we're going to see a ton of people who have been really relying on those extra benefits to get them through, all of a sudden having this huge hunger cliff. And the result is going to be our food pantries are going to see a huge increase.
Could I also just add that student meal debt has increased a lot this year, and it's increased in paid students, not free and reduced students. I think that's also part of the current economic situation. That's the first time that's happened.
Amy, could you explain what you mean by that term, student?
Sure. We serve meals to students regardless of their ability to pay. Every student is entitled to a free breakfast and a free lunch, whether they have the funds or not. But they do incur debt, and our debt is up over $300,000 right now.
So is this the money that students are supposed to pay if they have
Yes.
them, but
Yes,
don't
yes.
have, and have not paid?
People who
Okay.
do not qualify for free or reduced meals but are unable to pay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, fantastic panel. Thank you very much for your presentations.
Can I answer
Stephanie,
the
go ahead.
last two questions that are in the
Sure.
chat? Nancy asked about the foods that are typically donated to Our Lady Queen of Peace. I was trying to put in the chat. Oh, there we go. There's your link. The Our Lady Queen of Peace has it on their website. So I put that chat there. There was another question. What types of organizations are needed to join the Food Security Coalition? I put my answer on the wrong question. Sorry, but I'm usually great with technology. Anyone who roughly interacts with food security or people in need, or if you're an individual who cares about this and wants to contribute your time and energy towards making the food security system a better place, you are welcome to join. We'd love to have you.
It is a good experience just from someone who did it. And yes, I am in the game per se. It is a good experience. You learn a lot, and it's a great opportunity to meet other people that are doing this good work and to pair up and do even better work. I think even though I've met and knew Charlie before this, getting the opportunity to talk to Stephanie and working with her for the last 18 months with Charlie on several things, it is a wonderful experience, but it is also good for you and good for others, and especially if you're interested in this in any way to help out. It would be a wonderful experience. I would highly, mind you, you're going to work because Stephanie doesn't play, but it is a great experience. But you learn as much as, you give as much as you get. And I think it's a really good experience for anyone who's interested in what's going on in Arlington, especially in the food security thing. But
Okay.
it is,
We
stand
may
by
have-
my saying.
We may have time for one more question from John Weistad. He says he's a board member of Field to Table, which runs 4 of Arlington's farmers markets, Lubber Run, Fairlington, Westover, and Cherrydale. And he's wondering how many of the Arlington's farmers market vendors regularly donate to AFAC.
I think we pick up from just a few of the food pantries. Farmers markets. But I think every one of them donates to either AFAC, Our Lady Queen of Peace, or another food distributor, charitable food distributor. And by the way, we work very well with the folks at Westover and at Lubber Run.
The 2 that give to us is Columbia Pikes and Fairlington. And even though we do April to November, the Columbia Pike are open 24, they're open 52 weeks or 50 weeks out of the year. They are still continuing to give us, even in smaller doses, they still give us donations, which is very generous, but we'll pick up more, 100% more starting April when there's more bounty and more availability to offer. But a lot of them are very generous to us as well.
Great. Thank you. We promised people that we'd be finished by 8:15, so I think we have to try to close here. But again, I thank you for your presentations. And if everybody will stick with us just a minute, I want to remind all of the people on the Zoom present webinar tonight that to save February 8th for the evening for our program on teaching African American history in Arlington. It'll be on Zoom webinar and it's beginning at 7 p.m. Sponsored by the Arlington Committee of 100. We'll have experts in the fields to discuss what's happening now and what the future holds for teaching African American history in Arlington. You can register. There's supposed to be a link in the chat box. If it's not there, it will soon be on our website, and we'll be sending emails to everybody on our email list. So you'll be able to click the link in the email that you get and register for that February 8th Black History Month program there. For our March program, we're planning to return to a hybrid format where you can participate either in person or via Zoom webinar or Facebook. We'll be announcing the topic for the March program. That program will be on March 8th. We're not ready to announce a topic yet, but we'll soon be announcing the topic as well as the physical location for the in-person program. If you want to watch a recording of tonight's program, you can like our Facebook page and view Facebook Live. And please consider sharing the Facebook Live with your friends if this is a topic that's food security in Arlington, if this is a topic that's of interest to them. Tonight's program will also be recorded and posted on our website soon. That's www.arlingtoncommittee100.org. Thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again next month and in the future.
Mute.
It's been fun. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Guys, have a good night.
Enjoy. Bye.
Nice to meet you, Amy.